Cup champion Darren McCarty and the golden voice of Neil Rule. Sit back and relax. It's time for your daily dose of Big D energy.
Yeah, here we go. What a great day. Big D energy. Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, Uncle Terry, and for Neil Rule. Sam Flannel, Spenmo Rocks. Why am I excited? The trade deadline's obviously coming up. We all know what happened here. Detroit Red Wings signed Dylan Larkin, 8 years, $8.7 million annual. Who would have thunk that? Especially if you watch this show. Who would have thunk that? Obviously made some deals. Well, look at that, Terry.
I'm sure Neil was pissed because it paid him too much money.
Terry, look at that picture out there. Right? Look at that. Steve Eisner making a trip. Thanks to our friend Brad Galley, ABC Channel 7 for this picture. Steve Eisner making a trip to Dylan Larkin's abode to make sure that contract. And I looked at this picture, guys, yesterday. And if you're following, it's a picture of Steve Eisner and Dylan Larkin after they signed the contract. And it looked like his kitchen. Very nicely done. Those are my captains.
Did Eisner say, you sign this contract or I'm going to shoot you?
I don't think it was that. It's nice that things will be done. Obviously, other moves late into the evening. Detroit, we did trade Tyler Bertuzzi, so wasn't part of the plans, and retained half of his salary. He got traded to Boston. So, Tammy, congratulations, Tammy Chin. You got Rat and Little Rat going together. He's going to help that team. How can he not? Now the big thing, and we're going to be joined by Neil. He's on his excursions, obviously with Oakland basketball.
You mean his yacht? He's not with Oakland basketball.
He said he was going to make it up to the fifth level, and he was going to find a cell service. So he was going to join us at 11:15. Obviously, because of all the draft picks changing hands. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about because Bertuzzi gets traded to Boston, retain a conditional. Not a conditional, 2024 first-round pick, and then a 2025 second. Bringing Arsenal in. Earlier in the day, Filip Hronek, arguably your number 3 defenseman, a guy who was not going to be the future of being one of your top 2 pairs. And Steve Yzerman does Steve Yzerman things and gets a first, a second, and a fourth. From Vancouver and whatever this. Terry, when you saw this stuff going down immediately yesterday, Steve Yzerman in the mix, Detroit in the mix, obviously getting rid of a couple guys that have been here and a lot of us thought might be part of the future, part of the winning going forward, but obviously not in the plans. What was your first thought?
My first thought, 3 words: good, great, and wonderful. The thing, Tyler Bertuzzi, I was happy with the way he played against Ottawa during those 2 atrocious games. But I always wondered, a question, is Tyler Bertuzzi really down with the cause here in Detroit? I question that. Talented player, I like him and everything, but if somebody had to go, it would be him.
Well, it makes sense when you read between the lines and the stuff with the COVID, not going to Canada, and it's his personal choice and everything. And I think that the consensus was always that it seemed like Dylan Larkin would work out a deal, but Tyler Bertuzzi was going to become a free agent. And then when I hear that Tyler Bertuzzi's agent, Steve Yzerman, hadn't talked since December, well, then the writing's on the wall. When you get more information, right, Sam, you can change your opinion. But around the room, Sam, when you saw Detroit in the mix yesterday, what were you thinking for the returns? Go ahead.
I mean, the Filip Hronek one, that was a little bit of a surprise, but at the same time, it shouldn't have been. Filip Hronek's trade value is never higher than it is now. I mean, this season, I'm kind of a numbers guy, as a lot of you guys know, and I know it's not all about the numbers, especially when it comes to hockey defensemen, but this season, he's already at his career high in points, and he has a 38-point difference between his plus-minus this season and his plus-minus last season. So before this year, he wasn't as valuable, and this year has kind of been his breakout year. And as far as Bertuzzi goes, I was okay with the prospect of keeping him until I saw the Red Wings play these last 3 games, and they got outscored by a combined 15-3, and now their playoff hopes look like they are dwindling or they're slipping away. And Tyler Bertuzzi, he's only had really one outstanding season, which was last year. And then 2 out of the last 3 years he's been kind of an injury-prone type player. So I don't know if he's a guy you wanted to sign for $7 million a year. And of course, Dylan Larkin. I'm super happy that Stevie Y locked him up for 8 years, $8.7 million a year. I was impressed, the last 3 games notwithstanding, with how he sort of put the team on his back. During that 8-game stretch when they were 7-1, he had 13 points. He played like a number 1 center during that stretch. Do we think he's going to be their number 1 center when they're ready to win a cup? Not necessarily, but Dylan Larkin played his best stretch of hockey, I think, ever, and he's going to have his second straight, probably point-a-game season. So A+ for Stevie Y for this past day. So much going on. It's wonderful.
Before I get to your opinion, Spencer, Terry, do you think that these last 2 games in Ottawa put a cherry on the top of what the decisions were made, or do you because this is what we were arguing? But
I have to believe Steve Yzerman was already going to do something like this. But when you see the way they played against Iowa, I think in the back of your mind you're saying, okay, this is the way the playoffs are going to be. Games are going to be more physical. If you don't play correctly, the other team is going to have more opportunities on odd man rushes, and all of that played out. But the bottom line is, I think Ottawa may have been a blessing in disguise, because this team was not going to win a playoff series unless their goalies were just so hot it does happen sometimes. I know Edmonton used to pull it off; they get their asses kicked, but the goalie was so hot that they would win a series. But I just don't think this was going to happen with the Wings. And I hate to go back to the you got to get tougher on the blue line, all that stuff we used to say about you guys, but it's true. I don't want to see what this team looks like in a playoff situation. And I think, what's the point of making the playoffs and this getting swept in the first round? You may as well sell and get better in the future.
Well, we're gonna talk hockey, guys, for most of this first hour. We're gonna have Michael Gentry in, who obviously is our Woodward sports hockey guy down, who had written a bunch of articles, an article actually pre-post about guys being traded and stuff like this. We're gonna have Ray Ferraro from ESPN.com and the Ray and Dreg podcast show, a guy who's played over 1,250 games in the league, and one of the guys that I love listening to break down a game, because I think that he knows his game. But Spence, let me talk to you. When the stuff started to break yesterday with the Hronek trade, Larkin sign, and all this different stuff, where were did your pants swell up a little bit?
Oh yeah, well, full mast. I was pretty happy. Obviously, with the Hronek trade, you got a great return for him. Larkin got the deal done. Very happy with that. He's going to be a Red Wing for life. And then the Bertuzzi trade that happened earlier today, obviously, the camps were too far away from meeting in the middle and getting the deal done, which is unfortunate, because I like Bertuzzi, would have liked to see him on this team, but you got a first and a fourth for a rental player. Like that was a great trade as well. So overall, I'm very happy with what happened.
But when did you say Bertuzzi's agent last talked to Steve Yzerman?
December.
Okay, this is March.
Yes.
Bertuzzi is telling you without saying anything, I don't really want to be here. Because if his top priority was to be with the Wings, they'd be talking every day.
Yeah, well, when that information comes out, post trade, like that's the one thing, guys. Here, I want you to realize, and whether it's on the show that you can catch every Saturday, Chomp and Puck, myself and Mike Gentry and Spencer talking hockey for an hour at 1 o'clock. Or if you find it here when we talk hockey, let you remind you, I'm not like Neil. I'm not going to sit up here and always tell you I'm right and it's true. But when it comes to hockey, let me remind you something. Let me just take you back maybe to yesterday, Spencer.
Yep.
In case you missed this. But if you don't listen to me when it comes to hockey, like I don't know, it's just because I was raised with these guys. If you want to make it easy on yourself. Anyways, if you missed it yesterday, pretty much to fruition, guys. Here you go.
But Dr. Detroit, 4 years and $19 million for a 31-year-old.
Yeah, but you're gonna.
That's heavy.
So
that's heavy.
No, it's not heavy. when you go to what's important in your locker room and
No, for
whatever,
the Red
and
Wings,
this
it
is the
fits.
guy you're going to spend the money, because what you don't see is you get $2.5 million on the ice and $2 million to what
Right.
he develops. So shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about when it comes to Steve Yzerman and why he puts guys in. What do you think if I look at that and go, holy shit, why do you pay him so much money? And then I go and I figure it out why it is. Oh my God, because he's a leader of men. Right? Maybe not the play, maybe at the end of his career and stuff like that, but he's a guy that you can
that's it,
solidify
D-Mac.
to grow everybody else around.
And
And
then
you're
it's
going to
it.
have to pay for somebody. So shut the fuck up. You don't know.
But that is it though, D-Mac. For the fit with the Wings, with where they're at, that's the move. For a contender, that's not the move.
And it's a fucking yes, exactly, and a discount to whatever it is. So
Right.
Steve Yzerman doesn't give away money, you stupid idiots. Like, when are you gonna realize that? He's friggin' cheap. He's the way you want your GM to be. You gotta earn it. Even the guys that blood, sweat, and tears gotta come down to it and fight for it. And we'll be fighting for it after the trade deadline.
So you're
Guys
saying
are
you don't expect a lot?
Because you think you know. You want to build it. You want to build it in straw, and you want it to be like it has the last 10 years. You're all idiots. You don't know what it takes. Trust in the wiser plan 1919, and that's where it's at. And you know what? Coming down, because most guys going into the trade deadline, and if this was Kenny Hogg, I'd be shit scared. But it's not. Steve Yzerman. Back the fuck off, wake the fuck up, and let him do his job. Let's go. T. I'm just
telling
like,
everybody what a nice little guy.
was I
this
right
guy-
or wasn't I right? Right, exactly like that. Nailed it all along. Between 8.5 and 9 million, Sam. I'm sitting here to figure a way to get the captain done. So what it's worth. So happy, so glad. It's so well deserved. This kid, I guarantee it. I will put my cups on it that this kid will be raising that Stanley Cup at one point. Hopefully sooner than later, and I'm looking 4 years down the line. That's what my time frame is. But this is the best thing. My Wing fandom going back to the 77 or whatever the hell it was, right? Happy. But I'm just saying, I love it. I'm passionate. It's sad to see the other guys go. Philip Hronek, who I got a Hronek stories. I might share it on Chomp and Puck. That one of my favorite people in the organization. He's just a great guy. But obviously the assets. So hashtag Wiser Plan 1919, and I apologize for all the swear words. Not.
Yeah, I am happy that Larkin is coming back. My question was this. Larkin is a hometown guy. You know, he rooted for the Wings. He's a member of the organization. He wants them to win. But how do you balance the desire to see your hometown team win between getting paid?
We all did it, Terry, back in the day, and what you just saw is him go old school and do it himself. So 70 million or 60 whatever million is enough for Dylan, and feels appreciated to move on and leaves a little bit more. That'll be my question, and how does this affect along the league? This contract's more in line to a Bo Horvat. If you're looking at a Horvat where somebody who had got traded from Vancouver to the Islanders and is, guys saying who's a better 30-goal scorer than Larkin, well, they're getting paid pretty similar. Right? Like, this is right where you want to find him because you still have money for the 1C. The biggest question, and we're going to have Neil Rule on when we come back from break, but the biggest question, Terry, all these draft picks that Steve Yzerman's acquired, and you look at the chest, and we'll go to draft capital salary cap guy and Neil, is the fact that this just arms him to make a trade. Right? This isn't about free agent signing. This is using all these picks and bundling it up to somebody and going out and getting a guy that you can bring in. This is why it's so exciting.
Yeah, it was. And Steve Yzerman is doing it the correct way. You need draft capital, not just to bring in young guys, but teams are salivating over draft picks, especially first and second round picks, where they'll be willing to give up a guy that is not helping them anyway, but can help another team. So you want stuff in your war chest, and that's what Steve Yzerman's got.
Well, and you see, if you do a deeper dive into some of these trades with some of these restricted free agents, right? That's what Hronek was. There's when you hear this about team control, like Jacob Chikrin, who went to Ottawa and stuff like that, where the return wasn't as much, but it's team control of these restricted free agents for a year or whatever. In football, it's like if you get a guy with another year on his contract, right? Sign him for 2 years instead. So, lots to talk about. I don't want to say I told you so, but gosh darn it, I ever tell you so.
You just did.
Listen to me. Anyways, I feel like I got a workout. Where's the treadmill? Get me to one. Where am I going, Sam?
You're going to Planet Fitness, of
Yes,
course,
I am.
because Planet Fitness is the official studio sponsor of Woodward Sports. Also home of the Judgment-Free Zone, where you can work out for only $10 a month or upgrade to the Black Card for unlimited guest privileges, hydro massage, and more. Join in club today or go to planetfitness.com. It's Planet Fitness. We're Darren McCarty.
Where your fitness, especially today, your fitness is essential.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle, baby, talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Welcome back, Woodward Sports Network. D-Mac, Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, media legend, Sam Flannel, Spen Morax, and we are joined now by our fearless leader. He's not on the boat today. He's on his yacht, coming to us. Where is he today? Where's Oakland basketball being played from?
And I don't believe though, sir. He's not with Oakland basketball. He's out on his little yacht, and he's calling us from the poop deck.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Is that below or above?
It's below.
His call went black on me right now.
All right, his call went black.
Yeah, he should go back on top, because the poop deck you don't get very good.
So he's
reception.
walking. Oh, he's walking. He's probably walking through the kitchen right now. Anyways, we're trying to get a hold of Neil when Spencer can get him up. Yes, Rack, thanks for the donuts for Fish's last day eve. Yes, I can't show them because they haven't sponsored yet, but I've eaten 3 already, so appreciate that. Put a chat poll up. What more excites you the most, the resigning of Larkin or the returns for the trade? I pose that question to you, Terry. What do you think? What do you think is more important, or what impressed you more?
Impressed me more is the draft capital. I love draft capital. I love teams that get younger, more talented, that can build up for the future. Dylan Larkin I always thought was going to be a Red Wing, so it's important to sign him, but I assumed he's going to be here anyway. I don't know what Steve Eisman is going to pull off with these draft picks. Is he going to get young guys? Is he going to bring in a Grizzly veteran or two? What's he going to do? So it's sort of like you got this box. It's brightly colored box. You don't know what's inside. So I'm more excited about the box, and that's the box with the draft picks than Dylan Larkin.
Well, Terry, let's talk about this a little bit, because what Steve Eisman did in weaponizing his draft capital and salary cap, right, is he put another weapon. Like now, it's as far as we've been talking about, like last year, he had to make a splash with the free agency, right, because some of the young guys, he ain't going to get rid of some of the younger talent, but now our younger drafted talent, starting with the Raymonds and the Siders, right? Now you got the Edvinsons, the Soderblooms. You look at Johnny Burgers. You look at, the different guys that are stepping up and developing. Well, when you have that draft capital, other teams are going to covet that. Other teams that are up against it. So you might be able to pillage a good player. I know that Neil sits here and goes, oh, the push for Matthews and, in 2 years as a free agent. But you know what this does? This puts you in a conversation this year that a guy like a Mitch Marner in the last year of his contract. So what we're trying to explain to you is that Steve Yzerman now is equipped with even more money, even more draft picks, that if he wants to look at another team who has, say, the Tyler Bertuzzi or Dylan Larkin that they're trying to work out deals with coming to the trade deadline and can't get him, well, he can go out there and offer early return to the player that he wants. Because I know one thing's for sure.
But this can also help in free agency too, because free agents, obviously they're going to get paid, but a guy could look at the Wings and say, y'all ain't going anywhere, so I'm not coming there.
Yeah, but don't you look at their roster and what they have? Y'all ain't going there. You ain't coming
my
here.
point is, if he's able to get talent and make this team like really attractive, a free agent may say, okay, yeah, I'll come there.
Isn't that what we saw last year?
Sure.
Isn't that when we add and now it's time to add the and I've heard it, right? The guy that puts butts in the seats. Excuse me, right? Like last year you added character guys. I know that in the rant I was talking about a Sherrod, but it plays full for everybody else, guys that Steve Yzerman going to bring in character guys. The Perrons, the Sherrods, those are the two of the big guys, which Spenny reminds me, does it surprise you that those were the two guys that when we were doing our 97-98 reunion and we were all on the ice, that we turned around, walk out, and those two guys were sitting on the bench watching?
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me. That's the culture behind the scenes and stuff like that we're talking about. But I think, Terry, doesn't this entice even more of what's being built here in Detroit? Like today, March the 2nd, isn't it? If you're a free agent or you're going to be a free agent, isn't Detroit more of a destination now?
It will be more of a destination next year or the year after that when you actually see what they're doing. I mean, just because you have draft picks doesn't mean you're going to do it right. You could flub it. But, I trust that Yzerman is going to get this right. And so the Wings will be more attractive in the next couple seasons when you actually see what he's bringing in. Who are these young guns or who could be another guy? We always talk about Dylan Larkin is not a number one center, although he's averaging almost a point a game. So if you can put these draft picks together and bring in that guy who even Neil would say is a number one center, then you could be all set. You could bring in more guys that put butts in the seat.
You have the ability to go right, exactly, to get that 1C. What you just did, you gave 8.7 annually to your 2C, which isn't bad. And I love the trolls. Philip C must be a Colorado fan. Said Yzerman is burning out his GM. That should retire. That's the worst take I've ever heard in my life.
But I have heard this a little bit. The Steve Yzerman is blowing it as general manager of the Wings, and I'm like,
wait, please tell me the hockey intelligence that comes out of the person that said that. Please tell me that this is somebody that has at least shot something other than a needle.
No, baby
right?
boy.
Like seriously.
No. You're going to get a chuckle out of this. I played the game before
at what level?
School. I was in high school, or
I
played,
okay.
And stuff like that. They'll give you their credentials.
No. They won
more.
The 1997 Sega Genesis World Cup. Way to go, bud. Everybody.
I won that.
Remember the move? Cross. Couldn't stop it. Roenick was awesome. Anyways, what the worst? That. Oh, man. Anyway, let's just move on because that's ridiculous.
I love how Steve Yzerman has helped build a Stanley Cup champion. But some doofus from his couch knows more about building a team than this guy does.
Yeah, but they all do. I
get you.
Neil's up. Neil's there.
Yep.
Oh, he finally. Hey, he must have waited. How long? We're joined now by our fearless leader, the heel, Neil Rule, who is getting ready for Cincinnati. Terry said that it took.
He's not on his poop
He's
yet.
on the crow's nest. They got a basketball court on that ship. Terry, that cruise ship has a basketball court. How you doing, bud?
You got a big ass ship, man.
No, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Yeah, I am working tonight. March Madness starts tonight here in Northern Kentucky. Playing for your life. It's college basketball.
How many bourbons last night? More important.
3. We kept in our shoes.
Oh, wow.
I like it. All right, so a lot of stuff went down between the end of the show yesterday and today. Obviously, I don't know if you saw it, but I had to play my rant again, just because double barrel Austin, stone cold fingers to everybody. What are your thoughts, dude? The Larkin signing, which nailed it. The Hronek trade, which was holy cow, Steve Yzerman walking around, robbing guys, and then obviously Bertuzzi this morning.
Yeah, the Bertuzzi thing, that kind of called to my attention. Remember when we were talking about that deal the Lightning and the Predators did? We're like, oh my God, I can't believe the big compensation that the Lightning were able to pull. Looking at the Bruins situation, you see this, right? I believe this is why there's such variance in these deals right now, because teams like the Bruins, the Lightning, they're butted up against the cap. So in order for them to do anything, taking on that salary was the most third part of the deal. And that's why you're able to fetch the first round pick. The Vancouver thing, I don't know. And reading some of the reactions to Vancouver had, they don't know either. That's why Vancouver, right? That's why we have to since it is Steve. So they're always going to be stuck kind of in that mode that they're in right now. I know that they tried to build it a couple of years ago, and here they are again. So maybe that's why they got a guy on it. I don't know. I don't care. Got the draft pick.
Hey, you know what I'm curious? You know what I'm curious about, brother man? Is Boston going to lose another game the rest of the year and during the playoffs? They're just going to sweep through
everything. Never lose a game again.
Right. That's crazy.
But Terry, the reason that it worked is because they were able to get multiple draft picks from them because we took on half the salary. That's the most key component of all this. This goes back, I'm always going to bring it back to Alabama. This goes back to what because we're willing to take on salary compensation. The salary cap is the most important part of these deals, especially the Boston Bruins. It's the only way they can get it done.
How, Neil, here's the one thing that we're seeing is where the questioning is that it seems like the restricted free agent carries more weight, obviously, with the deal that you're talking about that Tampa did with Nashville, but even Vancouver, because Hronek, who will be a restricted free agent after next year, but there is some movement with that. But let's talk, because we were on the horn after the Hronek deal was made, and we thought maybe we can all agree, and we were talking about it before, that this weaponizes even more Steve Yzerman's to go after guys in trades, to trade some picks and stuff like this. So Jacob Chikrin, who was the number one defenseman out there, it seemed like he would be out there. Now, he got traded to Ottawa, and the return, I wanted to ask you about the return with that, because it was a conditional first rounder this year in 23, a conditional second in 24, and a second rounder in 26. With everything going on, does that not seem a little light for the taking? For a guy who's under, like we were talking about, a guy who's under 2 years team control?
No, absolutely it does. And I just wonder maybe if we overvalue Chikrin to some degree. Maybe that's possible. I don't know. I got to believe because the Redskins had draft pick. Stevie Y had that at his fingertips. He didn't value it that way. So, it is interesting to see the variance in all these deals. But again, you have teams that are butting up against the salary cap that are saying, we're going right now. We're going, i.e. the Bruins, i.e. Tampa Bay. They're a little more under the gun than some of these other organizations are because of the salary situation. So, you know what? Leverage makes deals. Each deal is kind of in its own vacuum, and leverage creates it all.
Did Steve Yzerman, and we could talk about this tomorrow, because I want you to break down, we'll go into draft capital and salary cap and what he did, but he did exactly what you brought to the table, or you said, as far as weaponizing that salary cap and using his money to make it more valuable. I said, to your point about always saying the Austin Matthews sweepstakes in a couple of years, you know what this does? This puts enough in your kit to be able to go out and offer a trade to like a Mitch Marner or something this year. Guys like that coming up on expiring deals, doesn't it? Like, this has just made you so much stronger. So did the Ottawa games actually benefit you by going down that way and push you ahead?
No, because I'm in your camp. I don't think the Ottawa games played any part in any because that's not to me, and you know him obviously. You played with him. You don't know him to the I don't know him to the degree you know him, but he very much seems like a very calculated. He has his plan. He's going to go execute the plan. The Ottawa game make no difference to a degree, and having to deal with the fan, listen to the fan reaction and stuff like that. The way the Ottawa games played out, maybe that's a little bit better for business. Could you imagine, D-Mac? Because I honestly doubt, even if they win both the Ottawa games, that Eisner. Because why wouldn't you? Right? You're not going to keep. That's apparent. You couldn't get a contract done. It was an either-or proposition.
And Hronik's you're not a 1 or 2. That obviously has Edvidson in the pipeline and stuff like this. So blessing in disguise.
But here's how it's going to play out with a lot of people in this town. They're going to say, "Oh, the Wings got blown out by Ottawa twice, so Eisner made these moves." These deals are in the works before the Ottawa games.
Neil, I'm going to let you go, and with one of your quotes is that he's been building this for 3-4 years now. This is nothing that's changed. Has it made them stronger today than they were yesterday? Do you believe that they're a better team with the moves that they've made?
Yeah, because they have more assets.
Absolutely.
Like you're either acquiring assets or you're not acquiring assets. So, yes, and I saw a comment. I saw a tweet to respond to part of the sports that get this in. When we stop trading, guys, remember, you are still paying Franz Nielsen. You're still paying Justin Abdelkader. Remember that, guys. Think about all this all the time, and remember this with the Tigers too. Damage that was done beforehand is still digging out from. So there's that angle of it. Terry, how's Terry taking all this? All the salary?
I don't like money, but I like this. Now, yeah. I love acquiring assets, particularly if the Ottawa game could have been a blessing in disguise. I don't think it was, but from this standpoint, if the Wings make the playoffs, guess what? They're not going anywhere. They'll get their faces smashed and their feelings hurt. So you may as well make this team better in the future for a variety of reasons. One, you can bring in some young assets. You might be able to trade for a veteran center or something, because I know you always say, Dylan Larkin's not your number one center. You got to do better than that. Well, maybe you can do better than that. So I'm excited about the future. The future got better. And I'm real curious to see what's in that mystery box of draft picks and everything that Steve Eisner was going to pull out.
Thanks, Neil. Where can everybody watch you tonight?
All right.
We are on 1270 AM, 97.1 HD3. So
there we go.
Tap into the broadcast.
All right, so
March Madness starts tonight.
I know. So March Madness starts, which means it must be the end of Oakland season.
Well, see you later.
All right, take care.
Well, see you later. Anyways, thanks, Neil, for joining us.
Brutal,
I'm bad.
Terry. Brutal.
That's all right. He'll be back tomorrow, because you know why? Uptime matters. Terry, that was a lot of uptime. You're just telling the truth. When you sit in that chair, it's facts. When you stand over there, it's opinion.
Oh, yeah.
So that's all factual. Just like at Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. You got a bog project coming up. You got anything in the yard. You need trees, you need anything, I guarantee they got it. Alta Rent, they got you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO-TO-ALTA.
You're about to be shell-shocked. The catch of the day is in. Big Boy Seafood Fest is officially back. Join us for some of your favorites, like our popcorn shrimp and pike perch platters and our classic fish and chips. This year, we've reeled in some fresh catches like our shrimp Alfredo, shrimp stir fry, and our fish sandwich. And especially, don't forget about our all-you-can-eat Friday night fish fry buffet. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jason Olafson, DC, the founder of the Custom Health Centers, and we've helped thousands of people learn how easy it is to lose weight and keep it off with our customized weight loss and body contouring programs.
With Custom Health, you don't feel hungry, you eat well. My name is Simeon Timbuk, and I've lost 71 pounds on the program.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
The Foaling Warehouse in Hamtramck is the home of the original football bowling pin game called Foaling. Multiple different ways you can play. They've got $12 open unlimited play and private lane reservation for $120. If you get thirsty, they got a $2 mystery beer vending machine and multiple fully loaded bars for you to choose from. So make sure you go check them out in Hamtramck or visit them online at foalingwarehouse.com.
Welcome back here. What an eventful Thursday. Big D Energy, Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, Sam Flannel, Spenmo Rax, joined right now by our inside hockey guyer here, Woodward sports hockey guy and co-host of Chomp and Puck. You can catch 1 p.m. on Saturdays, Mr.
baby.
Michael Gentry. Michael, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Terry, nice to see you.
My pleasure. He is
So a lot of action, kid, a lot of action. And you know what? I'm all about giving flowers. Right, I'm all about giving flowers. I saw the clip where I had to tell everybody again who missed it yesterday is that I might know a little bit of what I'm talking to. And yes, I was out at the club last night. But you nailed this too, right? You've been dropping articles. So not only that, writing hockey stuff, covering the Wings. You'll be down there tonight for the Seattle game. But you had this nailed as far as Filip Hronek in one of your articles. That might be a guy move. So a couple things, I guess. Just give us your synopsis about the Larkin deal that was made, the return on the trades, but the fact of the writing on the wall and where this puts the Red Wings.
This puts the Red Wings in an interesting spot, like Terry brought up. He's wondering what they're going to do with this mystery box of picks. You now have 26 total picks in the next 3 drafts. You have 5 first-rounders, so you have a lot to do. You got great returns in the Hronek trade and the Bertuzzi trade, getting a first out of those. I talked about it earlier, the Bertuzzi trade. A month ago, you wouldn't even expect it to get a first-round pick. So to bring in this type of return for him, although you hate to see him leave, and I was just watching the press conference with Larkin, and he showed all his emotions and how he's losing his best friend and how it sucks. And that is probably the biggest outlier of the whole situation. Even though you are losing a great player and you got a great return, it's really what Bertuzzi meant to the team and meant to the locker room that's really going to be the outlier for that whole situation. But as for the Hronek deal, you kind of spoke about the Senators and the Arizona deal. I think that was kind of set the price range because Arizona was being really stingy with that deal, and they didn't want to do it at first, and their back was kind of against the wall. And then you see the Hronek trade go out, so it kind of may have set the stone for that. But I like both of the returns. Like you said, I think it's a step forward. You're building something for the future, and we just got to let Stevie work.
Well, I want to talk on this, Terry, and this is like the draft capital and why your deal and to what your point is that Arizona. So we're comparing a Jacob Chychrun to a Filip Hronek.
Which I think Chychrun's better than Hronek, obviously.
Exactly, bigger, has the upside and things like that. But you look at the return, and it's not just a first rounder, and you might think, oh, Vancouver gave you a first rounder, they're not even in the playoffs, they suck. No, guys, it's the Islanders' first rounder, which means it's protected, which means that if they make the playoffs this year, right? If they make the playoffs, then it's a protected, can be 11-16. If they don't, or if they do, whichever, I'm confused on this a little bit. But anyways, it's going to be a top pick. Like this year, if the Islanders don't make the playoffs, it'll be between picks 11 and 16. Which is in the top half of the draft, which means trading that to somebody else gets more value to a higher pick. Right? You're not just getting the end of the trade. You got it, Spenny?
Yeah, it's top 12 protected. So if the Islanders are in the top 12 this year, you don't get it, and it's unprotected next year.
Next year. So like, what does that mean? That means that if the Islanders don't make the playoffs and picked in the first 12, you wouldn't get their pick until next year.
Correct.
But if they stunk and were the worst team in the league, you'd be in the bingo balls for the first pick.
Yes.
And so, Terry, I think that would make that deal a lot more valuable.
Absolutely. And last time I checked, you have multiple first-round picks?
Yes.
You can trade them.
Trade up if 5 in the next 3 drafts. That's
right. I mean, you got so many. You can trade up, trade down, throw them out the window, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
So that's the great thing about. I love having first and second round draft picks. You start playing checkers with those.
Now there's there's been a lot of movement even before the deadline, because the deadline, Michael, is until 3:00 tomorrow, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Right, so 3 o'clock tomorrow. So do we still think, I know I saw in the chat, do we expect Suter to get moved, or I brought up Sundqvist? Do we expect any more small moves being made, or only if it benefits to weaponize?
Well, it should be noted that before I came on here, Ernie was called up today, Adam Ernie, and Jacob Verana was pronounced as he will be out for tonight's game. So who knows if that's a trade deal? Who knows? Lalonde said that was more for PK reasons with Rasmussen out, but that could be something to look at. And I also look at Philip Zadina. I said that earlier on the morning show. He's a great prospect. He's, obviously he's been sold a little short here in Detroit. He hasn't played as well, but he's still got a lot to his game. So I think a contending team could, make a move at him. So
young fella, let me give you a little piece of advice.
Yes, sir.
If somebody's not playing, there's something cooking.
Well, he hasn't been playing at all, really. He's only played 2 games since coming back.
Yeah,
so
it's not like
it's not a normal situation with the player.
When they say, he's not playing because of this, then you need to pay attention. Because
that's why I said pay attention.
Our coaches do lie to us.
Well, they're supposed to, or they're not supposed to. Our guys just
right. They ain't gonna have the job if they're telling us all the truth. So. Yeah.
Make your job easier, but probably not good for the organization.
Yeah.
How about across the league? Because we're gonna, after the break, we're gonna have ESPN analyst Ray Ferraro on. Is there any more big deals across the league that are expected to be made, or are there any guys? Because wasn't Chychrun sort of the
I would say he was
most sought after guy?
He was the top dog, especially being a blue liner right in his shot. He's so good. But I don't really know. The question I was going to ask Ray about that as well, what his thoughts were, because when you get teams like Boston and they're loading up at the deadline, there's so many juggernauts coming out of the East now. So it's going to be interesting to see what teams really do add that extra player to try and make a run at them, because Boston is loaded, New York's loaded, so that it's just getting tougher by the day. So I would expect there would be some more contenders making some moves.
Now, my big question is Boston going to lose another game this year?
Yeah, they will definitely lose another game, but, man, they're going to be tough to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, but if you look at everybody in the East, and you even look at the Colorado or whatever, like being able to add a guy like a Lars Eller, a role guy, and you see teams retaining salary like we are, so... I look at the Ryan O'Reilly deal in Toronto. He's going to add that depth. That you look at the Tarasenko deal, and you look at the Patrick Kane deal to the Rangers. So this East, the East, like Toronto, New York, the Bostons.
I think Toronto has to make a move at the blue line, especially after watching the game yesterday against Edmonton. McDavid was just, obviously McDavid's going to do what he wants 90% of the time, but it just was coming too easy for him. He's been on a roll lately, but Toronto's blue line looks a little shaky with me. I love the Ryan O'Reilly, trade and whatnot, but I'm not too confident in that team coming towards playoffs.
Toronto has to do something because it's Toronto. It's been way too long between cups. It's been, it's Toronto is sort of it's like Green Bay in the NFL. Y'all haven't won a Super Bowl in like forever. What's going on here? So plus it's a mecca.
More like the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, the Dallas Cowboys.
Dallas Cowboys in the NHL.
All right, we come back. We're going to hit up Ray Ferraro and see what he's got to say across the league and stuff like this. But Spenny, you know what? People could be stressed, and Mikey brought up a good point. There's nobody takes the human side of. There's some tears in that locker room because you lost your buddy. So if you need to talk to somebody, where can they go?
They can go to SMA, obviously, because SMA, or the Sports Marketing Agency, is the agency that helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. So if you or someone you know is struggling, make sure you head to thesportsma.com to get the help you deserve.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes, you'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck, Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Welcome back, Big D Energy. Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, Spenmo Rax, Flannel Sam, Michael Gentry, Woodward Sports, hockey beat writer, Detroit Red Wings in the house, and we are joined, as an honor and a pleasure, a guy who's played over 1,250 games in the NHL, over 400 goals. Bing, bang, boom, mic drop right there. But he's an ESPN hockey analyst and the Ray and Dregs podcast. If you haven't checked it out, please do. Introduction here to Mr. Ray Ferraro. Ray, thanks for joining us today on this great hockey day here in Detroit anyways.
Yeah, how you guys doing? I got to say before we get going, Darren, the Abs thing with you guys in the rivalry was unbelievable to watch.
The unrivaled ESPN, and real quick, Ray, isn't it cool because you lived through those times, and the games evolved. We're not going to get on that, but to have both sides of the story, for me, I tell everybody is that I earned a little bit more respect that I had for Patrick Waugh, because that was the realest I'd ever seen him. So obviously another great thing that ESPN has done, and I appreciate that. More importantly, trade deadline tomorrow, 3 o'clock. Obviously, here in Detroit, we're excited to get our captain, Dylan Larkin, under contract. But a couple big moves were made by our savvy guy and Steve Yzerman. The Filip Hronek deal, which it seems like restricted free agents being moved are getting a premium return, and then Tyler Bertuzzi this morning. So what does this mean, in your opinion, for the Detroit Red Wings organization moving forward?
Well, I mean, you look at what Steve left behind in Tampa, and then Julian Brisebois has done an amazing job piggybacking on the foundation that they already had, that Steve had left in place there. I kind of look at Steve like in the Wizard of Oz, the guy behind the curtain, that he never does any media. He doesn't really talk about, here's the plan, this is what we're going to do. He just kind of goes about his business, and when it hits, everybody's like, oh, I get it now. And so I really admire that there's no noise around Detroit, and then just things happen. So the two deals that happened to me is that the two games in Ottawa probably cemented what this year was going to look like for Detroit. And that was not a playoff spot, unfortunately, close, but strides made. Now you've got these assets they pick up for Hronek, who I happen to think is a really good player. But they get a first and a second. Then they pick up a conditional first in the Bertuzzi deal. So now they've got these premium draft picks. But what do you do with them? Do you draft the players, or do you wait until the offseason when other teams are looking around and they're like, okay, we're not as good as we thought we were going to be. We're going to have to offload really good players. Oh, wait a minute. Detroit's got all these picks. So now all of a sudden Steve has the best thing that any manager can have, and that's options. As soon as you're out of options, you're screwed. And Detroit's got all kinds of options going forward.
See, I think he's going to do the latter. He's got all these draft picks. There is a mounting pressure here in Detroit, and I'm sure Steve Yzerman isn't listening to a lot of it, is to give the Wings fans something now. So I think he's going to collect all these draft picks. He's going to look around the league and say, oh, you don't want this dude? We'll take him. Here's my little basket of picks. What do you need?
And so here's where that really makes a lot of sense, is that look at to me, the two premium series in the NHL in the first round, 95% are going to be Tampa, Toronto, and New Jersey and the Rangers. And look at the moves that those teams made, all four of them. And two of those teams are going to be out in the first 12 days of the playoffs. They're gone. So now the pressure to do something for those teams is going to change. Okay, we've already blown out all our future assets to try and win now, and we didn't. So maybe we can replenish our prospect pool by moving somebody we have. Oh, as you say, Detroit's got a bunch of picks. Maybe we can move with Detroit, and Detroit gets somebody that maybe kicks them into that next spot. Because look at Ottawa got Jacob Chikrin. Buffalo's got 20 young players that look like they're about ready to break out. And now there's Detroit. Those three teams are about ready to upset the traditional playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. Those three are ready to be playoff teams next year for sure.
Hi, Ray. This is Michael Gentry, Red Wings beat reporter for the network here. I just wanted to talk a little bit. We got Dylan Larkin's extension, obviously, yesterday. I just wanted to get your thoughts. How do you like the value of it, and how does this contract fare against other top contracts in the league?
Well, I mean, I love Dylan Larkin. I've known him since, peripherally, since my son was in Detroit, and he is what you see. He's a terrific kid. He has got a game that is complete. It's not a 90-point game. Do you want to pay him $8 million? Probably not. But if you don't sign him, then what are you going to do? You're going to spend the next X number of years looking for Dylan Larkin. And you already had him. You can ask any manager around the league, and they'll tell. Well, Lou Lamoriello did the same thing with Bo Horvat. And he said the contract's too long and it's for too much money. But that's today's game. Is that if you don't, you can decide, as Anaheim did last year, they didn't want to go past a certain number of years with Hampus Lindholm, so they traded him. Well, man, Hampus Lindholm's a hell of a player,
yes.
But you had to go to 8 years to keep him. So, Dylan Larkin's not going to say, or he shouldn't say, okay, I'll come back for 4 years. I mean, you only get one kick at the can, right? You get one career, you get one chance to, cement your financial footing, to have the opportunity to possibly play your entire career 100 miles from your home, from the junior program to University of Michigan to Detroit. Like, that makes sense from Dylan's perspective. I know he wanted to stay, and as far as value, you're getting a kind of a 1B centerman. To me, a number one center, there's only a few of them in the league, real number one centers. Most of them are not Connor McDavid. They're not Austin Matthews. They're, how many of those guys are there really? So you have what you have. I think he's an awesome player, and I was happy to see that they were able to come to a deal.
That's it, Ray. Is that I've been preaching all along is I'm going to pay my number two centerman, because that's what Dylan Larkin is on a championship team. He's your Steve Yzerman to what Steve Yzerman was to our team. We still need our Fedorov, right? So but when the way that he's weaponizing the draft capital and the salary cap and everything like that, like you mentioned it, guys, what Ray said is so poignant. Look at the teams we just talked about, the Torontos, the New Yorks, the Bostons, Ray, Terry Foster wants to know, will they ever lose another game? You'll be there Saturday.
Like in history.
Not their goalie scoring, right? Now they got the goalie scoring, but how about, so if I can pivot, they make the move for Bertuzzi today. And that move's possible because Taylor Hall's on LTIR now. So it's amazing. These teams make all these plans, and you get an injury right before the deadline, and it can throw the whole thing on its ear. The other night in Edmonton, I guess, Brad Marchand on his first shift got nicked with a skate right down by his ankle, and he had to go get stitches. Well, 2 days before, Ryan Johansson, kind of the same play, he had one of those skate cuts. He's out for 3 months.
Wow.
So you can build this team you got to get so lucky, while you're building this thing. So Boston, I think Boston's I think they're perfectly constructed. I really do. I'm just so impressed with the way they play, with skill and with team and with determination and great goaltending. Now they lose Taylor Hall. They were lucky it was before the deadline. Now they can add Bertuzzi. who doesn't have to be a leader there. He's just got to fit in with the Bruins culture, and that's a really great place for a player to be.
Hey, Ray, real quick, if you don't mind, because Michael Gentry and I do a Saturday called Chomp and Puck Hockey Show, right? And one of the things is that I always thought is that your nickname, Chicken Parm, is so priceless to the whatever. Can you give the Chomp and Puck and Big D Energy listeners a little bit of a history behind? Because I think hockey's got some of the greatest nicknames. Chris Osgood was always the nickname giver back in our day, but can you give people, because I see it in the chat thread a lot when we mentioned you were coming up, I seen a bunch of Chicken Parms, so can you tell the origin of the Chicken Parm nickname?
Yeah, I was just starting at ESPN. I was still playing, and so our show NHL Tonight would go on after the last game, about 11 o'clock Eastern. Usually we had to tape interviews about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, with whoever the player of the moment was. So we'd have to get into our suit, do the interview, and then you take your suit off. You're going to sit in it for 6 hours, so we put a T-shirt on. Well, I was eating chicken parm. I was in my suit. There was no real restaurants around there except this takeout Italian place. And you used to get these crappy plastic forks. And so I'm eating chicken parm. I cut off a big slab. I go to eat it. The fork breaks, and it drops in the plate, and it splatters me on my white dress shirt like I got shot. Like there's pasta sauce everywhere. And so now we got to go on the air. And so I tried tucking my jacket over top of it, and John Butchergross is the host. And, of course, 30 seconds into the show, we're live on the air. He tells the story, he makes me undo my jacket. And after that, I became Chicken Parm. Nobody even knew I played 18 years. I was just the guy that couldn't eat.
Hey, buddy boy, next time you come to Detroit, there's a place 3 blocks from Little Caesars Arena that has a great Chicken Parm sandwich.
Okay, I'm in. I love chicken parm.
Right.
I will leave you with this. Let me leave you with this. I'm in ESPN. I'm playing. So I hear a few chirps from the guys. Oh, hey, are you a player or are you a broadcaster? And Yuri Fisher has me. There's a scramble and scrum around the net, and I'm weaseling around looking for a rebound. And Yuri's got me around the neck, and I'm pinned up against the back of the net. I mean, I'm there until he decides to let me go. And Steve skates by and he goes, "Hey, Ray, why don't you analyze that?"
Speaking of that, Ray, thanks for your time. Have a safe flight. You can catch Ray Ferraro doing the analysts in Boston at the game this weekend. And in the chat thread here, Big D Energy Detroit, want you to bring that mustache back, baby. Big fans of it. Big fans of it. So,
hey, take care, guys.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me on. Hope you guys are all doing great, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah,
we'll catch
good.
up with you soon. Ray Ferraro, ESPN analyst, and the Ray and Dregs podcast. If you like hockey, check it out there. But if you like money, you got to get in to register. Where? Lady Jane's. Get a haircut. Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning experience and register for once in a lifetime opportunity to win a down payment for your dream home. Up to $200,000. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Register. It's wicked awesome.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan. Woo!
With 26 locations in the Metro Detroit area and more coming, Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D. Join the Pepper Club for the best deals on unlimited tanning. Head to chilipepperstanning.com.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
What's going on? Big D Energy here. Darren McCarty, Terry Foster, Spen, Morak, Sam Flannel. Thanks to our guest, ESPN analyst Ray Ferraro, talking a little hockey. Michael Gentry. Make sure you check out Chomp and Puck, or he will be down if you're down at LCA tonight. Wings taking on the Seattle Kraken. Terry, going to be a tough game. Obviously, be exciting. Say hi to Michael. I might be around. Anybody who's going Top Golf, Ted Lindsay Foundation for Autism Awareness is doing an event tonight, so I'll see some people out there also too. But let's pivot. T.
Okay.
Let's talk some football, baby. Let's talk some Detroit Lions. And the biggest thing, right, I want to get now that I have you here is the fact that not only we're getting into the draft talk and stuff like this, and I'd like, maybe that's people have missed your opinion, Terry. So right now with 6 and 18, we've been talking about who you take or whatever like that. Are you more in the camp of, and obviously you're going to listen to any offers, but is there a certain position player or person in general that you have pigeonholed for your number 6 pick right now? And maybe we should caveat this with the Jalen Carter, right? Because the recent your feelings about that.
Every time I talk about a draft, I always say trade down, and get draft picks. Not this year. Jalen Carter got into trouble with the law, and I don't think it's that. Yeah, 2 people were killed, but it doesn't mean he's a bad guy. It doesn't mean he's not going to fit the culture with the Lions. I would do everything I could to trade up to get Jalen Carter, and you may not have to trade up to number 1. We know the Bears might pass on him, and people might get scared of him. So you may have to trade up maybe 3 or 4 picks to get him. But that would be my goal. And the other day, Brad Holmes had on a shirt that said "villain," and so that's the attitude.
Did you get the response behind it, or did you guys listen to his reasoning about what that meant?
The reason he said that's the attitude that the scouting department is going to have as far as trying to bring guys in, which I applaud.
You said have. I said had. This is the way they've been operating with this mentality of being the villain to everybody else, or is this sort of
coming?
new?
It's coming. They haven't been that way.
They haven't, but
no. I'm not. I'm talking about the Lions in general. But the Lions in general, before Brad Holmes and before Dan Campbell came in, I was like, okay, let's make sure this guy is squeaky clean before we think about drafting him. So they passed up on some great players because they were so afraid of character issues. Now, not a big fan of Matt Millins, but one thing he said that's absolutely true. You need a few bad seeds in an NFL locker room. And I'm not saying Jalen Carter is that, but he's going to be perceived as that because of his misdemeanor charges. I would trade up to try to get this guy. And, you may have to give up your 18 pick. You may have to give up the better scenarios if you give up your 2 second-round picks. But that's what I would do to try to get him.
So you're saying that Jalen Carter is your guy? That's your guy. You want to get that guy out of this draft.
Yeah, this is my guy. Not sitting pat at 6.
So you're more. Did I hear correctly? You're more trade up than it is trade back.
And I'm never like
you're
this.
I'm
never. I'm like, if you trade up, you're a dumbass. But not this year.
Because you think that this guy is the guy.
Well, yeah, he's mean on the field. Everything I read and see about him, they say he is a quote-unquote generational player. But knowing the NFL, even though he's a generational player, because of the incident he got into, teams are going to say, okay, all right, we're good. We don't want to touch this guy. You've seen great players slide. And here's what happens, Darren. When you draft him, people are outraged. Oh, why did you get this guy? This guy is an asshole. He's a villain. He's blah, blah, blah. And guess what happens? 3-4 weeks later, it's all gone. We don't remember that. Like Joe Mixon. Is anybody bitching about Joe Mixon? No.
Well,
he's
to talk about him getting cut or whatever like that. But,
But when he was
there's always
rolling, he was a good
incidents
player.
that seem to get
Right.
as time goes on and anything, people have forget.
We have
as
short
long as you
memories.
play.
So
So you're more
at
in.
it.
You're more in the camp. So, and I'm just going by the conversations that Neil and I have had. It's more or less, and the running gag, which Sam doesn't like to be a team player because we broke him of it and he had to come clean. But we're trying to tell everybody else, hey, you know, all these great quarterbacks to go 4, and then whoever you're hoping Will Anderson and Jalen Carter drop to 6, and you'll take whoever's left there.
They're not going to drop to 6. That's why you got to trade up.
Sure, what's come out?
No, because I don't think what he did was that egregious. Yes, 2 people were killed, but it doesn't mean this guy is a bad egg. It doesn't mean he's got issues. I got a secret for you. In the NFL, I don't know why, but players race cars, and sometimes they crash, and sometimes people are seriously injured. But you know what? They keep moving on. And I think this is one of those incidents where he screwed up, he panicked, ran, and will probably be charged with a misdemeanor. I don't know if he's going to spend time in jail. Probably not. But I would do everything I could to take advantage of a situation and bring him in.
So Terry, and Todd Saden brings up this great point. The problem with Carter isn't the speeding or racing; it's leaving his teammates at the scene. Is that not a character, or that doesn't matter as long as you can make the
because young
tackle at the
guys
middle?
get scared.
Okay.
Young guys panic. Just because he panicked at this scene doesn't mean he's going to abandon the Detroit Lions. It doesn't mean he doesn't fit the culture here. It doesn't mean that when a game is close, he's going to disappear. We don't care what he does off the field. We only care what he does at Ford Field, what he does at the training camp.
Right. If you said you draft Jalen Carter and it gets you your first playoff win or gets you to the NFC to where you want to go,
bam.
But bam.
I'm more interested in bringing a playmaker into the Lions than adding 2 or 3 solid players.
Let's say, for example, Terry. So, do you want to go, just for argument's sake, that it plays out well and Jalen Carter drops to you at 6 and you don't have to use that 18 pick? Is there somebody specific with that second pick? Is that where you're looking to spend it on a cornerback, or are you looking?
I think at 18, it's safe to pick a cornerback, the best cornerback available there.
Okay.
Not at 6. And I'm not doing a quarterback at 6 either. I mean, because the talk is out there. Should they get a quarterback? Blah, blah, blah. No, I wouldn't do that. But defensive tackle, cornerback, I'd be dancing a jig in the street.
Yeah.
If you don't have to trade that up, then that's the better. But I think you have to do that. Everybody's not going to pass on him because the guy is really a generational player.
No, that makes sense too. So, do you really, is it one of these things that you could see, obviously, being, I guess, the cornerback and drafting him instead of, what do you make all the Jalen Ramsey talk about? Because here's the one thing, is that it's not knocked down, it's not poo-pooed by anything, so the conversation could be had. But is that something that would benefit this team moving forward? Would you
probably
do it?
Would. I am torn on Jalen Ramsey. I'm not sure I would trade for him for this reason. In the first of all, the National Football League is a young man's game. I understand he's only 28 years old. But when you've had a career where you've been to the Super Bowls, where you've been to multiple teams, and then you come to a team that hasn't won anything, I don't trust that you're going to be that guy that we saw 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. I don't trust that he's going to be the Jalen Ramsey that we saw, before, because guys get a little fat and sassy. They just want to get paid, and so I'm not sure that I trust Jalen Ramsey. Now, on the flip side, this could very well happen. Jalen Ramsey could come in here and fall in love with this culture that Dan Campbell has created. If he comes in and buys in, and I knew that was going to happen, then yeah, I would probably trade for him. But right now, I'm on the fence as far as Jalen Ramsey. I don't think it's a slam dunk you bring him in here. You really have to vet that out because I just don't.
No, you'd obviously he's got to
veterans.
want to be here, and then we've been talking about it. He's not happy with his contract or whatever. But that's what's different now. These conversations.
And let
you're
me
having.
pull a Neil on you. He makes a lot of money too, so I don't know about the cap.
I think the
hit.
cap hit 17, 18, 19
Right.
over the 3. We already went down that it would make sense money-wise if he wanted to be here and stuff like that. A couple things out of the chat thread. I'll look into it. Red Wings coach Lalonde reporting Michael Rasmussen might be out for the rest of the season, which is a blessing in disguise. Obviously, that means he's hurt more, but there's no sense in rushing him back. And we saw, I nailed it all year. It's unfortunate because he was having a career year, but we saw the effectiveness of what he had in the lineup.
And he caught that shot right on the side of the knee.
Yeah, that's no
And you
bueno.
know what? I just got a message from Steve Eisenman's office. You mean I can't trade him now? Oh, shoot.
he wasn't going anywhere anyways. But speaking of LCA, if you're down there tonight, you can have a couple cocktails and leaded or non-leaded, but you can throw some of this bad boy in it.
You always can, and you always can with Cintron, because Cintron is the official energy drink of the Detroit Red Wings. Right now, they have an exclusive offer for Woodward sports fans for their limited edition Red Wings 6-pack. Only $15 plus free shipping. Head to Cintron.com/Woodward and try it today. All 3 delicious Cintron flavors in one. The classic sugar-free, and of course, cranberry. Make sure you go to that Cintron, drinkcintron.com/Woodward. That's drinkcintron.com/Woodward. And make sure you get yourself some Cintron.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry. Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community, giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com. Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to WoodwardSports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to WoodwardSports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Custom Health Centers, get your customized approach to weight loss, just like our boy Ryan Ermanni. Bing, bang. Not really, but he is doing it, and he said he's down 15 pounds. Think all the ways that weight affects your health, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Custom Health Centers blessed to have over 20,000 success stories. Not only just Ryan Ermanni, but Lions former kicker Eddie Murray, former Piston bad boy Rick Mahorn. They all have stories to share. So if you're into being on top of your weight loss, start losing weight today. Call Dr. Jason at Custom Health at 844-789-8446. That's 844-789-4446. 8446. Too many fours in there that time. Anyways, give Custom Health a call. A lot of fours, Spenmo Racks.
It's a lot of fours.
Big D Energy, D-Mac, Terry Foster, Sam Flannel, Spenmo Racks. Obviously, first hour was good. A lot of hockey talk with everything going on. We're getting into the Lions talk now. Terry Foster telling us to do whatever it takes to move up and get Jalen Carter. He is that guy for your defense. Now, little update. 12:50 last segment. went to the man himself. We are going to get a Black Santa update. We're going to find out what Black Santa does.
I know where he is.
Oh, exactly. Dude, there are stories galore. You're going to want to stick around. But we were talking Lions. We were talking draft. We were talking coaches. Couple things announced. John Fox has been hired as defensive assistant coach. And the Detroit Lions bring in former Penn State D-line coach to replace Todd Wash. What does that say, Spenny?
Todd Wash, yeah. He moved on because of personal reasons, and so they brought in defensive line coach.
So John Scott Jr. in. So with all this, I guess my question, Terry, to you, right? And we see this cyclical. Deuce Staley moving on down the road. You know, you're going to have coaches. We were wondering earlier if we're going to lose any of our coordinators. Our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator got re-signed, but this is all part of the NFL each year. There's going to be new guys coming in.
No, it's a part of the NFL with real football teams.
Oh, my God. Wait a sec, guys. Time out. Can you please repeat that? Because did you just call that team in Allen Park a real football team?
I've been saying it for quite a while. The Detroit Lions finally are a real football team. Now we're seeing things we never saw before. Guys can be here as assistant coaches for like decades. You know why? Because nobody wanted them. Because they stunk. The Lions stunk. They weren't developing players. But now you're getting guys who are developing players. Now you're getting guys who can get raises somewhere else and they leave. And so you replace them with guys that you hope are just as good, if not better. So now this is the offshoot of the Lions being a real football team. You almost lost your offensive coordinator if there was a job open that he wanted, because he could have been a head coach, but he decided not to. But that's what happens when you're a real football team. Players are being developed. Players talk to other players who pass along information to the organization and say, hey, you should get this guy. He could help us here. That's what's happening here in the National Football League, because the Lions are a real team, and they're going to lose guys. That's just
and John Fox, in case, why does that name sound familiar? Well, he's been a head coach a whole bunch of times for a long period of time.
Made the Super Bowl.
He's a head coach of Carolina from 2002 to 2010.
Yeah.
Right? Then he was in Denver from 2011 to 14. Then he was in Chicago. So right there's 15 years of straight coach, and then he stepped away from the game. He came back in 2022 as a special defensive assistant. So it's one of those things that here, Terry, can you talk about this with a lot of other teams too? Like John Fox is a guy that had his run as a coach, sort of stepped away from the game and figured out he wanted back in the game and which way. So this second year he's got the bug again. But isn't this what, to your point, great teams, great coaches, they bring assets around them and get these guys just sort of out of retirement or something to help?
We always talk about depth at defensive tackle. We talk about depth at cornerback. Now the Lions have depth at coaching. If something happens to Dan Campbell, which it probably won't, you have a guy that can step in and say, I've done this before, follow me. So you're talking about depth. Once again, real organization, people. Yes, I said it. Real organization. Something I refuse to say for decades.
Hold on a sec. So Terry Foster, in the last calendar year, you have declared Brad Holmes the greatest GM in Lions history.
Bam.
And you've declared now, I could say that this is a real football team.
Yes.
The biggest thing, and I brought this up, right, when we're watching Hard Knocks, and I'm going, man, look at all the former players, right? And obviously they don't all work. We've seen Dan Campbell have to fire, a defensive coordinator and a defensive backs coach. But the fact that you have football guys in there, the fact that I'm not even thinking about if Dan Campbell goes down or we lose him, I'm thinking about the everyday coffee conversations to the fact of what so to Ben Johnson saying about the pre-algebra calculus, well, with Aaron Glenn on defense, John Fox in the room, that's only going to make those guys better. It's just adding different things.
And this is because you're a former player doesn't make you a great coach. But here's what it does do. You understand what that player is going through. I've reported on too many stories where guys have told me, my coach doesn't understand what I'm going through. My coach doesn't care. And you know what players do? They check out.
Absolutely.
What the hell with you?
It's more about appreciate, but so my point being, when you add a guy like John Fox and you got a guy where unfortunately Todd Walsh has to step away, but you can hire a younger, more inexperienced guy at a different level because you have, right, the foundation about how things are run. So I don't expect, I always like a new voice sometimes with the old structure. Right? It's always good to learn some new things, but you have to have the old structure behind it.
No, that's true. And at some point, Dan Campbell is going to tune these guys out. It's not his fault, but the bottom line is you have 6 or 7 years to preach to a team. And after that, some guys start to check out.
Am I making too much of this to say that the voice of Deuce Staley behind of what we saw, the rah-rah, that somebody has to step in and not fully replace, but be that sort of, like, there's roles in the coaching levels that have to be filled too, not just in teaching talent, but in, like you said, the coach has to, see the player, respect the player, understand the player so that they don't check out.
No, I think they have enough rah-rah guys. Even though Deuce Staley is gone. A guy like Deuce Staley can MF you, call you all kinds of names, and your feelings are not hurt because you know he's coming from a place of love. He's coming from a place of, I want to not denigrate you, but to build you up. And so I think the Lions have other guys like that, and Dan Campbell can't be the voice every day because he'll burn them out in 3 years instead of 7. Because of how ferocious he is. So he's got other guys. And you know what, John Fox, a guy that's been a head coach, he can come in one day and take over the practice, give him a more calm approach. And sometimes you need to hear different voices. I don't know the exact number, but if you are a pro athlete or pro coach, do you know how many meetings you have every year? Probably about 1,000, even more than that. And what I mean by meetings, just there's team meetings, but a timeout is a meeting. When you huddle up the team after practice, that's a meeting. When you huddle up the team before practice or that's a meeting. And you don't want to hear the same voice all the time, even though that voice might be electric. That voice might stimulate you. Sometimes you need to chill out a little bit. And I tell you what really turned Lion players off. Rod Marinelli, I think was a very good position coach, not a great head coach. The thing that I kept hearing from guys, Rod Marinelli talked like this. Hey guys, we got to get the pad level a little bit higher. He put guys to sleep. He did, seriously. Because I talked to this, I'll be rubbing my eyes and I said, okay, Rod, when are you going to finish this up?
Whereas far as like a Jim Schwartz was more of a rah-rah.
He was a rah-rah, but what happened with Jim Schwartz is he got so rah-rah, he would piss himself off so much that he would melt down.
You didn't shake
and
my
when Jim
hand?
Schwartz melted down, the rest of the team melted down.
Which makes sense.
Right.
So, but do you look at this in sort of the maturation, or as we see Dan Campbell get more experience of putting these guys in play? Because to me, just to have a John Fox in the building, walking around talking, it's sort of, and I'm not ranking hierarchy, but it's like, when you have a Parcells walking around or
hey, look, watch this down in the future. This is going to happen one day. It may not happen next year, the year after. One day we're going to be sitting on here. Hopefully, I'll be on here with you here on Big D Energy. I'm going to say, damn, wasn't Dan Campbell boring last week? Because he's going to tone it down a little bit. Partly for his sanity, but he'll understand that
delegate.
Running a locker room is like a baseball player at the plate. You can't give him fastballs all the time because he's gonna start knocking them out the park. So you need some change-ups, curveballs, something off speed, mix in with the fastballs. And I think it's what Dan Campbell, as he matures as a coach, And as he reads the room and he sees guys says, okay, I get you, coach. Can you chill out? He's going to say, all right, I can't do this every day.
But isn't that all and that's the communication and the respect back and forth, right? Where you'll be able to go that. I saw Rake bring up a great point. You can only kick the dog and pet the dog with respect. That's what respect. Now, some guys like Eiserman kick the dog. You know, you want to kick the dog, pet the dog on the way out. But there has to be respect, and I think that's the number one thing, you know, coming out of there. And we're showing that sort of respect back. Just like we respect lunchtime, Spenny, and we're going to travel around the D and find that food truck. Where are we going?
You obviously got to go to Cousins Maine Lobster if you respect lunchtime, because that's where it's at. And Cousins Maine Lobster Food Truck is up for Food Truck of the Year. You can make sure to go vote for them at freep.com/bestofdetroit and follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/CML Detroit for your chance to win a $300 Visa gift card if they win. So make sure you try Cousins Maine Lobster today. You can scan that QR code right there and figure out where they are rolling around the city, or you can order ahead online and earn rewards. So make sure you check out Cousins Maine Lobster.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Kroger's, and if you want to know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Hey, D-Mac here. Let Guardian Alarm be your customized solutions to whatever you need. How many times have I been telling you about them? The professional technicians take time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs, but I need you to give them a call today. The number, 1-800.
Stay out.
24/7 professional monitoring call anytime, day or night. Know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as it's needed. But I need you to call Guardian today. The number, 1-800.
Stay out.
Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work in people who have been proven to care about what you care about, whether it's business, personal, sort of like Sam Flannel and his flannel protection, which, by the way, you're getting a lot of shout-outs for that great flannel, but how many straight days of flannel protection?
224.
224 days. Guardian Alarm has been providing that, man. If you have anything that is as important, please call Guardian Alarm today. The number, 1-800.
Stay out without trouble tonight, Hunter Dickinson. Drop the hammer on those Fighting Illini.
Whatever you said, Alex Terry's better. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts. Tell them, Big D Energy, we sent you. Little spend more racks, giggle here. Cutting it through on a Thursday. D-Mac, Terry Foster, Sam Flannel, spend more racks. First hour, you can rewind, check out our interview with Ray Ferraro, Neil Rule on the call for Oakland, joined us from Cincinnati, talking about trade deadline going down.
Now, did I insult Neil Rule?
Neil Rule what?
Did I insult him today? Because he said that, it's March
Madness.
Madness.
We can only be so lucky. And listen, you're in the facts chair, so if he doesn't like it, it's factual, it's opinion. But we're going to get into a conversation right now, talking about the Little Lions, and it's one of these things that I want to bring the boys in on, because I know that you're not supposed to pay for running backs and all this stuff, but it seems like the running back's an important part of our team, especially with last year. Jamal Williams. So I guess right now the question is, what do you do at the running back position, if anything, as of right now? My number one priority will still be signing Jamal Williams, trying to get him for between $4.2 million, a couple years, $8.5 million. I think what he provides, and on the short yardage, on the ground and pound, the pump, and also what he provides in the locker room. I preach a culture all the time. Is somebody have imperativeness. I'm not sold on drafting Bijan Robinson at 18 or anything like that. I'm not sold on re-signing DeAndre Swift. I think that, he's a phenomenal player, but it's his durability. So the one thing that I know for sure is that I want to re-sign Jamal Williams.
And that's probably should be your top priority. I did a little intel on Bijan Robinson. I have a little University of Texas alum friend who says Bijan is everything you want in a teammate. He's a hard worker. He does charity work, community work. He cares about the fans. And with that said, with the 18th pick, I'm not touching him. Not touching him. It makes no sense when you're in the position that you're in with the Lions to draft a running back in the first round. They are disposable, and when this offensive line is so talented, you don't need Bijan Robinson. You can find someone in the third or fourth round, north-south runner, somebody who's you can't predict if he's going to be durable or not. But you find out what you want. Do you want the north-south runner, or do you want somebody that's going to tear the edges up, set the edges on fire?
Well, don't you have the north-south guy in the ground
but you
and pound?
can do two of them.
What's that?
You can do two. It's not a crime.
Okay, but the norm is to more find what Kansas City did with their backfield and guys scoring touchdowns in the Super Bowl on minimum paychecks that it is to pay, like I say, yourself in a position to have to pay a guy, right? Is that the deterrent because of the durability of Swift, and you don't want to have to pay him the money? But you're saying don't put yourself in that position, even as great as this kid can be, it still doesn't put you forward.
Well, no, and this line is so good, you can find a third, fourth round running back who will be great also, because he's going to, anybody can run through an open hole if you're an NFL player. So so you have to decide, do I want another ground and pound guy, or do I want somebody that's going to be able to set fire on the edges with a lot of speed? That's what you need to decide as a
Well, there's T-Foss spitting facts. Let's go to the opinion booth. Sam Flannel, what's your opinion on the running back situation, and what is the number one priority for you?
I don't know if there is a number one priority per se. I've kind of lost all faith in DeAndre Swift being a part of this team for the future, but he's still under contract. I'd like to see him just sort of play it out for this year.
The difference a year makes.
Hey, I know, right? I've been burned 3 times, and I'm finally done. And Jamal Williams, we've been hearing that maybe he'll sign for a cheaper deal, like give us a little bit of a discount. I would obviously take that. And then I'd be looking in the draft to a couple of different guys. One guy I like in particular is Chase Brown from Illinois. If somehow we could get him with our last 3rd round, or maybe even our 5th round pick. I watched him play, obviously, during the game at Michigan, and he just tore Michigan apart. He's one of those guys that's got elite speed, just kind of the edge guy, not really a between the tackle sort of guy. I think he would be a good pairing with Jamal Williams, and he's became much better as a pass catcher. If you want to get an earlier round back, I'm looking at a Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama, because he reminded me last year, and I'm not trying to make a direct comparison, he was like the college Alvin Kamara. A guy who wasn't an every down back, but he was elite catching the ball out of the backfield, or even a guy like Deuce Vaughn from Kansas State in the later rounds. I love Bijan Robinson as a prospect, but at 18, that's really risky. If Bijan Robinson steps right into the NFL and becomes one of the best backs in the NFL, then it's worth it. Anything less than that, it's not. And I'm not sure that he will be, but Detroit still has that great offensive line, so you could maybe get a better value, kind of like a Tyler Algier value, who was a 5th-round draft pick last year, or a Dameon Pierce, who was a 4th-round draft pick. I think you can pluck a guy like that from the draft, and he could instantly be an impact player on this team.
Spenny, Sam, I think you're more, and I would ask Terry, but I want to get Spenny's take what's important. But that Chase Brown third round, that tastes good, right? First taste in my mouth of it, and I was going to ask Terry, but Spenny, what's the number one priority? Is it Jamal signing him, solidifying him, and then going with it?
Yeah, I do think it is small. Signing Jamal will be your top priority. I mean, it's everything we're hearing is it's going to get done. It's only a matter of time. Like, he wants to be in Detroit.
He flat out said in the NFL Network is that I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
I got to figure it out with Detroit. Which is something that I would have done, which your agent is in good business. But at the end of the day, he wants to be here. And I think that he's an integral part, as I'm always preaching culture in that room.
Yeah. It's so that deal you got to already think is getting done. And the Bijan thing, it seems sexy, it seems nice. I like Jahmyr Gibbs as well in the second round, but a guy I look at is Kendre Miller, who out of TCU, he's going to be a later round guy. I think he could be a difference maker. You put him behind this offensive line. So there are later round guys in this draft that are going to turn out to be good players for sure.
Do you like the third? Is the third round for a running back too high still, Terry? Or because here's and as I look over in that chair, the factual chair, I see you. I'm asking you this question, but Neil, because Neil wants to take Jake Moody, kicker, in the third. Would it behoove you better to take a guy like a Chase?
Can we take Jake Moody in the 5th round?
I don't think he'll be there.
Then I'll skip it then.
You just okay?
I'll skip.
Would
it.
you take a running back if it was like this? No matter who it was in that third round pick.
When you get into the 4th or 5th round, I'm getting a little bit scared.
Okay.
I know the offensive line is great, but I don't want Poopsie McGillicuddy at running back. I want somebody who can play.
Poopsie's shifty though.
Poopsie is shifty.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't
streaky.
Fool around
streaky
with a kicker in the 3rd round.
Can drop it in.
Yeah, hits that hole hard.
Absolutely.
Poopsie McGillicuddy.
So you say that's too early?
Yeah. For Jake Moody, even if you don't get Jake Moody, guess what? You can still find quality kickers who can kick the ball between the uprights. Stop going. The Lions need to stop going to the Kroger to find a damn kicker. Because they might look good on the high school playground, but you get them in Ford Field and they suck. So get a real kicker. It doesn't have to be Jake Moody. There's like 4 or 5 kickers who are solid or are really good in this year's draft. So I wouldn't waste 3rd round on Jake Moody. This team still needs something. It needs something on defense. It needs a running back.
So you'd be more apt. I guess my question is that 3rd round pick could go to a Chase Brown instead of a Jake Moody? Which what you're saying? Which is 3rd rounder? We're like no matter who the running back was, because you got to trust in who's making the choice that he's the right guy. But the 3rd round seems like that's where that pick is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Here's what I know.
Ooh.
In the 3rd round, if it's Chase Brown or whomever, you can still get a person who can make this offense go. We don't have total faith in Jared Goff. Is he going to have another year like he had this year? Maybe not. But, if he's handing the ball off a little bit more to 2 backs instead of 1.5 backs like they did last year, that maybe that running game can get rolling. When you look at the playoffs, San Francisco, blew out all their quarterbacks, but they could still run the football. Kansas City could run the football. Teams that made it far could run the football. And guess what? They could ground out time. They could the thing the Lions were unable to do for many, many years, they had games won. They couldn't grind out the last 3 minutes of a game. They go 3 and out, and then the other team get an opportunity. So this is so important. To me, running back is so important from the standpoint, not just getting your offense going and scoring some points, but also to keep your offense on the field near the end of games. And don't give the opposition another damn place chance to.
Yeah, no one says you have to give them another chance, do they?
No, you don't have to.
What do good teams do, Terry?
There is no NFL rule that says you got to give somebody a chance to score and win the game in the last 2 minutes of the game. That is not a rule.
Spoken here, true facts. But you know what is a rule for lunchtime, Spenny? There's only one rule for lunch, buddy.
Believe it or not, I probably dropped the ball on this one. I should have given this one to Spenny, but I'm taking the big boy one because seafood.
When have you ever been to a buffet?
I've been to some buffets.
You better get in there, Sam, and represent. This
You
is
too
a seafood
skinny to
buffet.
go to a buffet,
This is
man.
serious stuff, right, Spenmo?
Facts.
He's going to take the read. This is a seafood fest at Big Boy, dude. They just don't throw these out there. This is Lent time. This is what it's all about. Give it to me, Sam.
Absolutely, because Seafood Fest is back at Big Boy. Catch it while you can. Some favorites during Lent, like shrimp Alfredo, shrimp stir fry, and the new fish sandwich. Go to your local Big Boy today. Don't forget the all-you-can-eat fish fry buffet on Friday nights. Stop by Big Boy today.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry. Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
When it comes to making your haircut truly an experience, there's no better place than Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to any one of our 26 Metro Detroit locations for an award-winning haircut experience and qualify for a chance to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Our precision haircut and talented stylists will have you looking good, feeling good, and give you a chance to change your life forever. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to WoodwardSports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to WoodwardSports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Chili Peppers Tanning is where you'll find the cleanest salons in the D with spotless, sanitized rooms and trained and certified tanning professionals. Join the Pepper Club for all the best deals. They'll beat all competitors by $5. Don't forget to pick up Australian Gold, Designer Skin, Caltan, and Swedish Beauty lotions. 27 locations and more coming. ChiliPeppersTanning.com. The hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, the darkest tans, your vitamin D headquarters. It's Chili Peppers Tanning.
Chili Peppers Tan.
Welcome back, Big D Energy, D-Mac, T, Foster, the legend, Spenmo Rax, Sam Flannel. Whew. Guys, I was a little worried there for a minute. I thought somebody hacked Brandon Katz's account there until he said absolutely something stupid that Eisman was selling because his plan wasn't working. So, gosh, his plans are over years. So, anyways, I want to talk basketball. I got T-Foss here. Nobody knows the Pistons better than my guy. I want to talk, even I'll let Sam Flannel get in to his Hunter Dickinson. What a great shot, because I wanted to get Terry's opinion on the greatest basketball hoop shot Hunter Dickinson has ever made in his career last week. And Terry, did you happen to see that three-pointer that put him?
I saw it a couple times.
Right? Which was a phenomenal shot. So I just want to talk a little bit of hoops here, get into the, what Terry wants to talk about, and give you guys here on Big D Energy his thoughts about, you got Big Ten thoughts going in, tournaments coming up. Obviously, Neil told us that the Sweet 16 starts today. It's March 2nd. What can we expect, Terry, from our local teams? Should we get behind one of them more than the other? Are they both going to make the tournament? Where are you at where are we at right now? Big Ten tournament coming up.
That both teams will make the tournament. I think Michigan will win a couple games in the Big Ten tournament, and that's going to be enough to get them through. I believe they will at least split the next two games, but I understand that's shaky, but I do believe they're going to do that. Hunter Dickinson's shot could have been the spark that catapults this team. I think Michigan State is going to make it too, because we saw that collapse against Iowa. That will never happen again. Michigan State is hitting their three-point shots now at an alarming clip. If they're up 12, I have to believe that Tom Izzo's learned his lesson, that he won't allow that to happen again. The Spartans won't allow that to happen. They're sneaky good, even though they don't have a great record. And you know what? You know what can keep Michigan out of the tournament? Central Michigan.
Really?
That loss is still haunting them. Because you'll bring out, well, Michigan beat these very good teams. Yeah, they did, but they lost to the Chips.
Yeah, but that doesn't really matter. Spenmo, I'm more interested in what Terry said there. Is it, like, Terry seems more confident on your basketball squad than you are. Do they have sleeper in them? And to what he said, because the egregious mistake Terry Foster's talking about is being up 3 and not fouling.
Yes.
I'm assuming, which a coaching legend as Tom Izzo isn't supposed to make those mistakes.
But you don't blow an 11-point lead in like 2
minute
seconds.
and a half.
Terry got more confidence in your team than you do, or is he talking somewhat truths that you could see happening?
No, I think there's truth to it because, you know, when you get into the tournament, it's all about guard play, and Michigan State has 3 fantastic guards. Like, Jaden Akins has been playing fantastic lately, and then you look at A.J. Hoggard and Tyson Walker, and they've been lights out all year. So they could make some noise if they get into the tournament, but I think the lack of interior defense is going to be something that haunts them unless they continue to make the three-pointers at the clip that they have in the past couple games.
Yeah, when I look at this Michigan State roster, it's one of the worst that I've seen Tom Izzo have. But you're right, those guards, when they get hot.
Do they got is Michigan State one of those teams that could be a one-game spoiler to somebody in a tournament or something, right? Like, now, because
the
they can
ceiling
get hot.
might be Sweet 16, but they could stun somebody. And when you look at college basketball, I'm trying to figure out who's really good.
Yeah, who are the favorites or who whatever else. Like we were talking about this yesterday. Like, who do you expect? Who are the 1 or 2 teams out of the Big Ten that can get there? Right? We agree Purdue. But again,
I've seen Purdue look awful,
but
too.
Purdue could Purdue. How many times we say that in every sport? Purdue's going to Purdue.
And I agree with him. But really, do you think that Alabama is guaranteed a Final Four? Houston is guaranteed a Final Four? No, I don't think so. So I just think it's wide open. Some silly stuff could happen where a team like Michigan State or Michigan could make a run in the tournament. I don't see them in the Final Four, but they could be sitting around in the Sweet 16 saying, damn, how did we get here? That could happen.
Who would you see, Michigan or Michigan State, more apt to do that?
I think Michigan State, because the guards are just they were 11-15. Let's look at the Nebraska game. They were awful in the first half, but it was correctable. Michigan State decided, we're not going to play defense, and we're going to brick every shot we make. Then I'm thinking, oh man, these dudes are done. And then in the second half, they just went bam. Understand it's Nebraska, but still, it's a Division I team, and you just wipe the floor with them. Say, get out of here. You don't belong with us. Kiss my ass.
There's something to it, and there's something to it in getting ready for the tournament, right? For the Big Ten tournament and stuff.
Right.
Sam, I go to you as our Michigan guy. You more confident today, or where are you at with your Michigan Wolverine? I look at some of the comments in the chat about how important it is for Michigan to get into the tournament, or else Juwan Howard's job might be at stake, and that's not even a question to me. But where are you at as far as can your team make a run? Can they play consistent or no?
I've said all this week, because I've kind of been on a high from that Wisconsin game, that don't let this Michigan basketball team in. I know that they've had a very, very disappointing season, especially that loss to Central. If Michigan would have just won that game by even 2 points, I don't think we'd even be talking about them as a bubble team. That was devastating. But they have played better. And a young guy, a freshman point guard like Doug McDaniel, is growing up right before our eyes. And when we talk about guard play, they've got Doug McDaniel, they've got Kobe Buffkin, who is one of the most improved players in the country. And Hunter Dickinson, as much as I've kind of maligned him this year, he's a damn good college player. He's leading the team in points, rebounds, and he's shooting over 40% from 3. He's having a good season, just maybe not the stratospherical season that I envision him having someday at Michigan. I don't think he has that in him. And of course, Jet Howard, I think, has been a net positive so far. The one thing I worry about him, one thing that I don't like, is his shooting cold stretches. He's been kind of inefficient at times, but Michigan has some of the most top-end talent of any team in the Big Ten. They've got more talent at the top end than Michigan State, although Michigan State, I think, has more depth. So I think if a couple of their players, like a Hunter Dickinson or a Kobe Buffkin or a Jet Howard, if they can go on a hot stretch, I think this is a team that could at least make the Sweet 16. They have Michigan has shown over the recent history that they do up their play come tournament time, and it wouldn't shock me at all if they made a little bit of a run in the tournament. But they have to get there first.
Buddy boy, here's how Michigan can make a run. Hey, Juwan Howard, we know you from the hood. We know we can't talk to you. We know you all swolled up and badass, but you need to reel yourself in and reel your team in a little bit. Hunter Dickinson is a fool. You need to go to him and say, look, it's tournament time. We need to stop wearing masks and T-shirts and doing all kind and calling fans assholes and stuff like that. Juwan needs better control of his team.
And that is very true. And that is true. And trust me, I hammered them hard after they lost at Wisconsin with the foolishness over the ski mask and some of Hunter Dickinson's comments, and even some of their players, I don't know if it was some of their players, or at least Jet Howard wearing a free Juwan shirt. But ever since then, Michigan has gone on a 3-game winning streak, and in the Wisconsin game, it was the Wisconsin coach that kind of shit down his leg by not fouling up 3 when Hunter Dickinson 3 ended up tying the game. So that was encouraging to me that it was the other coach that made some of the foolish mistakes and not Juwan Howard. This has obviously been I've had a love-hate relationship with this team this year, but at this point I'm ready to get hurt again. I'm ready to go all in. I think they're going to win at Illinois tonight, lose at Indiana, make a little bit of a run in the Big Ten tournament, and then they'll get in. I don't think there's a question about it.
Sam, you got to promise me something?
Yes.
Will you please, on our group thread, will you please give me like your halftime of Michigan games, and as you're going through the pain and the sorrow, just like we enjoy.
He doesn't care about college basketball. That ain't happening.
Yeah, no, he does. It's Michigan, right? It's Michigan, so he does care. But we need the updates like you give us at the halftime, because if you don't know, it helps. And right, you could tell everybody we're the first ones that share in your elation too, right? Like the last weekend when things were going good, right? And you shared it, and I think your reply was, we said congratulations. You said, it was even better when it was going on live, right? The good and the bad together.
Yep.
Just like if you have to have insurance.
Absolutely. You go to Swiss Insurance. Be sure to check with Swiss Insurance this week for your commercial insurance review. Swiss can help make sure you have the proper coverage. Swiss Insurance, give us a shot and you won't be disappointed. Email them at mark@swissins.com. That is mark@swissins.com.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Shots. That, you know what I mean? Big D energy last segment, D-Mac. Terry Foster, Flannel Sam, pew, 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 pew. Didn't have an intro. Spend more racks. Obviously didn't have an intro, but we gotta it's the time for the Black Santa update with Terry Foster. Now, last we heard from Black Santa was just after Christmas when he was all PO'd at everybody for leaving all the messages.
Well, he gave you your gifts on the 26th, so it wasn't that late
I think
this
it
year.
was the 28th, but we're good.
Well,
it was within the 7 to 10 business days.
It was before 2023.
Absolutely.
But
What do you got here in March?
I have an update with him. Unfortunately, my mom is in the hospital, and so
sorry to hear
last
that.
time I went to visit her, I came down and I saw a guy in the lobby with his mask off, because in the hospital, masks are mandatory. He didn't have his mask on. He's smoking a cigarette.
In the hospital?
In the hospital.
Hell yeah.
I said, dude, do I know you? Because we started talking. He said, yeah, you know me. I got your little spoiled ass kids some gifts, and they were bitching about their gifts coming late. It was Black Santa. Black Santa was in the hospital. I said, dude, why are you in the hospital? He said, well,
Black Santa's allowed to smoke in the hospital with no mask.
hey, nobody stopped him. So I asked, what do you do in the hospital? He had a walking boot on. He said, well, I work in the factory, and every 2 to 3 years, I get my bunions cut. So I came in to Beaumont, got my bunions cut, and I got a walking boot. So that's where Black Santa is. He's recovering from working at Ford. I think he said Ford or Fords, and so he's recovering. But he said he'll be back next year, ready to go.
Well, I mean,
hey, Darren, you gotta do me a favor.
It makes sense. He's got off-season surgery, right? Just like he's on the shelf. He's not gonna make sure, so he'll be parading around. What can I do for you, Terry?
Okay, here's what I'm gonna ask you to do. This. You're gonna refuse, but I want you to go to Noel Night next year.
Where's that?
It's
when is that?
It's in the by Wayne State. It's by the DIA and the Detroit Library. Black Santa will be there in the Detroit, the main library downtown. He'll be there with a little skinny little ass. And I want you to go up and ask what you want for Christmas.
Do you know what kind of cigarettes he was smoking?
Cool menthol.
Okay, I'm gonna bring him some Cools.
Yeah, we'll get some Cools.
No, I will.
That's Cool with a K.
Cool. I'm well aware. I back in my smoking days, I have been known to throw menthol down.
Baby, none of those Canadian cigarettes. He's got to have a little filter on it.
I got it.
Okay.
I know exactly where to go. I'm familiar with the Cools, but I will go down there. I would love to make a Big D Energy Black Santa go and get his autograph. Hopefully his bunions are good. So
yeah.
So when did he say anything else, or he just said see a player next year? Or?
No, he said I'll see you next year, but he's going to be at some of the ethnic festivals and stuff downtown this summer.
How long was he on the IR? How long did he say he'd have to wear the work boot, or did he was going to still be
He always
working?
likes to get like 6 weeks to a couple months off.
Yeah, they want to know if he's getting workman's comp.
Of course.
From Fords?
From Fords.
Yeah, from
Say
Fords.
it right.
Getting the word. Steve Lehman getting the workman's comp. People pleaser. Was it a Lucy from the station, or did he have a pack? Because I'm going to buy him a pack for sure.
Oh, he gets the carton, whatever that is.
Carton?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
You ever bought a carton of cigarettes?
Back in the
I
day,
think,
yes.
Isn't there like 10 packs in the carton?
Yeah.
Yes.
Expensive though.
I bought a carton right before COVID.
Terry, what are cigarette packs these days?
It's like $9.30.
Yeah, so
$9.25.
So
And like
almost $100 for a
it's
carton.
$9.30. Like $4 is tax and shit.
Would he? Would he roll his own? Like if I got him a big bag of rolling, like would he?
Oh, he knows how to do that.
Santa.
Now what he will do is he will tell you, I don't know how to do this, and as soon as you leave, he'll be rolling them cigarettes, man, like 2 a minute.
Black Santa's like that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? His cigarettes are perfect. You would think, oh man, he got these cigarettes from the manufacturer. No, that's he does it himself, and it's like the perfect roll.
Entrepreneur, Black Santa. So there it was, your Black Santa update from Uncle Terry Foster, T. Foster. Always a pleasure. Thanks for coming in.
Yes, thanks
Hope
for
to
having
see
me.
you soon. What do you got? What do you got going on? You got any? We got any big articles coming up? We got any people what to look out for on the network?
I wrote a short article about why the Isaiah Thomas statue will not happen at Little Caesars Arena.
Well, that would be interesting to find out.
Yeah, because the
a lot of
Pistons
us
said
think
3
that
years
it
ago
should.
they're working on doing a statue, but it's not happening now.
All right. Well,
And
there
it
you
should.
go. WoodwardSports.com. Check it out for Sam Flannel. Spend more racks. Terry Foster, thanks for Neil. Thanks to Mikey Gentry. Thanks to Ray Ferraro for joining us here. Big the energy. Deuces. See you tomorrow.
Peace.